I wanted to share with you an example of how I have learned to reframe certain things and allow myself to be more supported. So yesterday my husband took me on a date to the cricket at Lord's. Really excited. We had a few things to do yesterday, so we decided we would drive, and we were getting close by to Lord's and we realised that all the parking had been restricted, and I thought, yeah, actually I think they'll probably close off like a half-mile radius, so we probably won't be able to park. So I said, I'll tell you what, why don't I drop you here at the gate and you can go in with the hamper and the champagne and everything, and then you won't have to carry it, it'll be fine. And he said, oh, are you sure? You know, why don't I just come with you? And I said, no, because we were meeting some friends as well. I said, you go and meet your friends and I'll just take the ticket, that's all I need. So out he got and off I drove, and I was probably about maybe 2 minutes away when I realised that I had also left him with all of my money and credit cards, which meant I couldn't pay for the parking. So the old version of me would have gone, oh God, oh Susie, I would have absolutely berated myself, called myself names, you know, like stupid and, oh, that's so typical, why didn't you think of that? You know, that would have been the soundtrack in my head. But actually instead I just kind of went, oh God, oh. And so I immediately started processing, right, okay, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is I have to now find a residence bay to park in, which I can't park in until 6:30, and then I'll just have to walk back, which will take me about 15 minutes. So I'll probably miss half an hour to 40 minutes of the cricket. And it was a 2020 match, so it's not a long match anyway. So I thought I could just do that, but I better phone my husband and tell him. So I phoned my husband and I said, okay, I've made a bit of a boo-boo. And he said, what? He immediately thought, is she safe? That was his instinct kicked in. And I said, everything's fine, but I'm probably going to miss the first half an hour of the cricket. He said, oh no, why? And I told him what had happened. He said, right, I'll come back, I'll come and meet you. Now, I don't know if everyone else's husband is like this, but if I attempt to logistically re-meet my husband somewhere and use some sort of directions and landmarks, there's absolutely no chance we would reconnect. I mean, he's just not very good at that sort of thing. So I said, no, you stay there, enjoy the cricket, it's really not the end of the world, I'll just miss the beginning, it's fine. So anyway, as I'm driving around, it's all residence bays, and I'm thinking, right, so near shops there would have to be at least a couple of spaces where you could put the car on a meter. So I drove a little bit more and I found a tiny little street with maybe 4 or 5 shops on it, and they had a parking meter. And I thought, right, if it's Westminster, which it was, that means I can park by phone, as in my credit card is already stored on their system, so I just need to know the last 3 digits on the back, which I do, and then I can just park there. That's fantastic. So I start the process, I'm ringing and I go through all the options. This takes about 11 minutes. And then they say, and please enter your credit card number. And I was like, oh, I haven't got my credit card number. So I immediately hang up and I literally stand there in the street and I go, assessing my options, what can I do? And I saw a newspaper shop, like a corner shop, and I thought, I know, I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to tell them the problem. I'm going to ask them to lend me £2 because that's all I needed, and then I'll tell them that I'll drop it in through the post box on the way back. And as I was locking the car door and I turned around and I saw this man in the street just smoking a cigarette, like he worked in one of the offices on the street, and I just kind of looked at him and he went, are you okay? And I went, if I were you, I would help someone like me. And he said, what do you need? And I said, I could give you a long story, but in short, what I need you to do is pay for my parking. And he said, sure. Didn't even ask me for a reason. I said, I'll tell you why. My husband's trying to take me on a date tonight, and he is at Lord's waiting for me while I try and work out how on earth I'm going to get there without missing the start of the cricket. And he said, no problem. And he just stood there smoking his cigarette while I put in all my details and a parking meter, and he just touched his credit card. He said, have a great time tonight. And I said, thank you so much. I know that doesn't seem like a lot for you, but that is so meaningful to me, thank you. And he went, no worries. He said, it happens to us all. And here's the lesson, because once upon a time, not only would I have not been creative, I would have been so busy criticising myself that it wouldn't have occurred to me to find a solution. And also I would have been so suspicious is the wrong word, but probably, yeah, maybe suspicious. Why would anyone help me? Maybe that's because once upon a time I wouldn't have been willing to help people. Maybe it's because I didn't trust people at the time. And you know, yeah, there are people out there these days that will try and swindle people. But there are also some really good people that make genuine mistakes, like me, who just want to go and spend an evening with their husbands while their child's being looked after. And I just want to show you with this video that it's so easy to ask for help and accept it without any guilt. I was so grateful to that guy. In reality, he's just like, it's only £1. You know, by the time I got around to going through the thing on the menu and talking to, it was £1. And I got to the cricket and I didn't miss anything. I sat down just as they were about to play the first ball, so it was a perfect evening. But thanks to that man who's out there, who may even see this, but you know, be generous, be trusting, be the person you would hope would show up for you at a time like that. And if you've got a similar story that you want to share, stick it in the comments below. I would love to hear it. Have a great evening.